one, might as well emote once again. Yeah, it's a good one for this one. Okay. Hello, notes. I wanted to come back here briefly because I wanted to make sure... I ran through this area first, but I wanted to make sure that you guys saw it. That this is sort of the chapel area that they were talking about in regards to the key that we picked up that was talking about the annex to the cathedral-shaped area. Talking about this, you can see all these benches that were laid out at one point, directed up towards what I assume to be a platform for someone to give speeches of some kind. So whether or not they were actually here worshipping Velka or something, who can say exactly? Who can say? But there is a depression here, and I think this is supposed to be your indicator that there might be something under here that you need to go visit. Which would, of course, be the little mechanism that unlocks the door right there. Don't you come in here with your big grotesque body. You kind of look like a big scrotum, you know? Big hairless scrotum. Guys, don't shave your scrotums. That's a bad idea. Not that I would ever do such a thing, you know. This is going to a dark place very quickly. Let's get out of here. And I wanted to go over to the dragon and show you off how to push him off the edge. I remember this later, and many of you corrected me in the process, but I wanted to make sure that I showed it off. Okay, what I have going on my notes today? I wanted to point out that the Crow Girls, technically as far as their official translation goes, are called... They're not here. Is one of them dead up here? There's probably one to show off. Yeah, here we go. Here's a big pile of them. There's always a nice pile to look at. But these are technically called Crow Demons. Now, whether that actually has any relationship to the Witch of Izalith or not, who knows? For God's sakes, it's so confusing sometimes. I think this is one of the things where Miyazaki just wanted it, but he didn't really have an existing system in the game to try to explain away exactly how they could be demons but also be a servant to the gods, so he's just like, oh, fuck it, just call them that. Forget it. Just forget it. I'll fix it later. And then they never got around to fixing it. Who knows? Or maybe it actually does mean something. Who knows? But either way, I'm glad that they exist. I am glad that they exist. Oh, by the way, here's your new issue of gigantic bird asses. Because that's the only thing that they're good for souvenirs or reprisal. By the way, I got up to rank 3 in Dark Moon, which I realized later is completely pointless, considering that you only get one Covenant reward, other than just increasing damage. So that was a waste of time, a nice big waste of time, although I enjoyed doing it, I guess, to some extent. I cheated in the last little bits. You know, I only farmed it to a certain extent before I got really fucking tired of it, and decided to just do away with that idea entirely. Let's see. A couple other things to note. The movie that I was... Whoa, don't you... I didn't have my hands on the controller when he did that. That's another instance of... For some reason, this weirdly, sometimes the game will just dodge queue things, just randomly. I have no idea. And it's not the controller. I got a new controller. This is an Xbox One controller this time. And I got an Xbox One controller because if the cord ends up fraying, which they designed them to do so that you'll have to buy more of them, if it does fray, then I'll just end up being able to replace the cord. The buttons on this are pretty weird, though. It's kind of hard to press in the shoulder buttons. Kind of strange. But overall, a better controller. Anyways. Flags of Our Fathers was the movie that I was talking about, the prior episode that I couldn't think of off the top of my head. There was a whole shitload of those things that came out in that kind of space of time. It had a sister film. I think that was the Iwo Jima film that I was thinking about. But that's what I was talking about. If you want to go give that a watch. It wasn't quite as good as its sister film, but it's still pretty good. Anyways. The other thing I wrote down here. Yes, sometimes I burp whenever I'm recording. It's not as though I'm talking for 2 hours straight. I tend to inhale a lot of air in the process. So I'm sorry, my sweet little darlings, if that offends you. While I'm speaking for 2 hours. Oh, he burped. Oh, my poor sweet little babies. Anyways, sorry. That's enough ridicule. One more thing I need to look at my notes. But for the time being, I just wanted to make sure that I showed off this. It's a jumping attack. It's a jumping attack that gets him to stand up for God knows what reason. But they do have, kind of, for some reason, they have their own animations. I'm not sure if they had just turned this thing on its side and we weren't seeing the entire thing, or if it actually does have two idle states. But either way, this is its fully realized form. Its big, melted out crotch right here. That's where his wiener would have been. Oh, he lost it. Oh, well. The other part slid off into oblivion, yeah, I guess, after I killed it. This makes no sense. So his butt is also undead. Maybe it's not undeath. Maybe it's just a form of necromancy. This could be a holdover from whenever Nito was the final boss of this area. And it was just supposed to be, you know, Nito's been fucking around with things, and he makes things undead just because he's, you know, a dick like that. Maybe that's the case. Who knows? By the way, this is a big dumb torso dragon butt thing. Can't actually damage it, can't really do anything to it. But I wanted to make sure they're getting to stand up so that it could sit right down on my face, potentially. Is that an anus that I'm looking at? Is that an anus up there? Nah, it's probably not an anus. They wouldn't do that. It would have been cute if they had put like a little bitty tiny asterisk right there. Like a cartoon cat asterisk, but... What the hell? Oh, it's our friend down there that's stomping around. But anyways, you can see that even if you get this guy to stand up, you can't cross over there. And I wanted to point out that there are a couple of stairs that kind of are down near... They're under where Priscilla is. They're way down there, and they don't seem to serve any practical purpose. You can't get down there. But they probably, at some point early in development, they had planned for you to, say, beat Nito, and then go down there through the steps and maybe go off into some other location or something. That's my best guess. It's probably just an old artifact. Anyways, that's enough of that. Say goodbye, Dragon Chan. Dragon Necromorph Chan. Now we're going to go back to Firelink, so I will see you guys in a split second. Whoosh! Once again, whoosh right back. And we are here at Firelink Shrine once again. A number of things to take care of here. Let's see, where to begin? I think the first thing I'm going to do is go right back down here, and I've already showed off the soul of the Firekeeper that we rescued in Londo. But we're going to go right down here, and we're going to shove it right back inside of her corpse that is not even here. This doesn't make any sense, but don't worry about it. Don't worry about it one bit. And she appears in a whirlwind of semen and water and probably some sort of spiritual mumbo-jumbo or something. Welcome back, Anastasia. And I already read you the soul description, so don't worry about it.
Thank you. I am Anastasia of Astora. Now I can continue my duty as a keeper. But I only hope that my impure tongue does not offend.
Anastasia? I'm not even going to remember how she does. I've already forgotten how she pronounced it. Not Anastasia. Anastasia? I don't know. I already forgot. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But now she can talk. Yay! But she's not too happy about it because her impure tongue may offend. Now her skirt is still a little bit bloody, it looks like. Don't ask me why her legs would just be perpetually bleeding, but, you know, we fixed her legs too. And her tongue, which was at some point cut out, has now been restored. So, like a good undead does, whenever you kill them, whenever you destroy their bodies, they completely reform at a bonfire. Although this is the source of the bonfire, so how she's reviving here, I don't know. Just don't worry about it, guys. Don't worry about it. But either way, she is here, but more importantly, as far as her characterization goes, she is concerned about her own sins, her own misdeeds. She is concerned that her impure tongue will offend.
Forgive me. I am impure. My tongue never intended for restoration. Please, if you have any heart, leave me be. I wish not to speak.
Okay. So, she obviously is a very self-depreciating person, considers herself to be wicked in many ways, and she has accepted her fate, her role as Firekeeper. Now, what exactly she did, or, you know, is purported to have done, who can say, but it's probably related to the Way of the White, the Church of Thurland, and it probably involves something about speaking out against the gods, or, you know, something of that nature. Maybe because she became undead. Maybe that's the reason why. And she was actually cursing them or questioning them in some way. And as a result, she was cast out here. Or sent here and instituted as being the Firekeeper of the Firelink Shrine. if she was, it probably happened a very long time ago, considering that everyone seems to know that Firelink Shrine is the place to go. So maybe she is quite old, and maybe what she did was something that happened a very, very long time ago. But that is just me guessing, pulling things out of various orifices. And that's all she has to say. My tongue numbers and return. Have any heart? I wish not to speak. And that's it for her. So that's all she will ever say from this point on. She is now dead to me. She will serve her only purpose in the world, and that is to fuel my batteries. Fuel my batteries, just be a living cask of Gatorade just pouring all over my body after every win. After every win. And that's it for her. And I'm not going to speak to you just yet, my friend. Because your ass is dead. If I do. And I need to make sure that I wait until I get down into the catacombs before I come back up, because she has one more little bitty line of dialogue to exhaust before I can send him off on his way into oblivion. But our good friend Sigmar is done climbing through windows, so let's see what he has to say.
Well, fancy meeting you here. You did much for me up above. I am grateful. You know, I was thinking to get the old fortress. Was that your doing?
Now you have a choice here. You can either tell him, yes, it was me, or you can say, no, it was mysterious ghosts or something. I don't know. But I'm going to say yes, because that will advance the storyline.
I knew it. It seemed like an unlikely coincidence. Well, am I fortunate? This light of Katerina thanks you sincerely. Please, take this as a token of my gratitude.
Now, whenever you were in Adelano, whenever you were speaking to him, he seemed to be kind of annoyed with you that you ran in and almost got yourself killed. And that probably is because he didn't realize that you were the one that actually opened up the path to Sin's Fortress. Which seems kind of unlikely, because it's not like people were just coming into Sin's Fortress in droves. I mean, who else would it be? Maybe he just assumed that it magically opened on its own. So like he was sitting in front of the gate all this time. He never actually attempted to open the gate or go ring the bells, because I don't know if he even knows about the prophecy. Or maybe he's never even spoken to this guy over here. But he never seemed to know about that, or he never tried. And then, of course, whenever we found him in Orlando, he was just sitting there, probably masturbating or something. And he never tried to do anything there either. So he seems to be a bit clueless in some regards. So when he finally figures out that we were the ones that opened up the path, he doesn't really seem to be annoyed, but more delighted at this point. So as far as the timeline of events, as far as his characterization goes, at this point, he is not despondent about his own inadequacies. He's more delighted that he has found kinship with you. And as a result, he has given us this miracle emit force. I have to remember to look at that. There's a couple other things. Actually, hold on, let me write that down real fast. Emit forces all over the place. Hell yeah. Sexy.
There you are. I'll be heading down below shortly. There's nothing worthwhile up above. No worries. Venturing is my life. I'm prepared for the worst.
Now, you notice that he said that there's nothing worthwhile up above. Of course, first of all, that that's kind of a big smack in the face, don't you think? Like, the land of the gods is all the way up there, and he's like, yeah, I've been there, there's nothing there worth having. But more to the point, No, that's probably nothing. I just noticed his weapon, and it looks a little bit... No, it looks the same. It looks the same, I think. Is that just a normal Zweihander? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. The hilt looks a little bit different to me for some reason, but maybe it's just because I've not looked at it in so long. Anyways, more to the point, his, what the hell was I saying, for God's sakes, Eli's brain? You're always fucking up something. More to the point, he is an adventurer. He's not here to undo the undead curse. He is undead himself, as we will learn later on. I think actually everyone in the game that we meet is undead, except for maybe one person, maybe two. But anyways, he is here for the sake of adventuring. So that is his kind of lot. He came here not for the sake of finding a cure to the undead curse. He's just here to have a big old party. He's here to kill shit. He's basically... he's basically like most people that play this game. He isn't concerned about the undead curse. He just wants to put on cool armor and go around with his boomstick, just fucking things up. So, think about that for a moment. Whenever you are solving all his problems for him, then what does that leave him? Like, he's not here to solve the curse. He doesn't have any overarching goals other than himself. His own enjoyment, his own, I guess, legacy. And whenever you remove that from him, what is left of him? Absolutely nothing. Go ahead and get rid of that. Emit force. I think... Did you have anything else to say for me, buddy?
There you are. I'll be heading
No,
down.
it's showing that nothing well.
No worries.
But he is heading down south, and he sure does got a pretty mouth. But no one's going to get that reference. Anyway, so let's take a look at a couple things that we picked up in the meantime. Let's actually, while I'm thinking about it, let's look at emit force. Outland Miracle fall into the way of white, emit shockwave. Considered an alternate branching of force. Emits an expanding shockwave orb. The only thing to note here is that it is an Outland Miracle. So it was invented somewhere other than Thurland, or it was passed down somewhere other than Thurland. Where exactly that comes from, who can say, but maybe since he gave this to us, maybe it is actually from his homeland of Katarina. So maybe that's where it's from. Nothing really overly important to say about that, other than the only other times that we really see anything mentioned in regards to Outland Miracles. Usually it's something like this, Tranquil Walk of Peace, which is considered to be from Ulasil. So, maybe it is that he has already been to Ulasil and he just picked something up there. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, this is one of the items that you get whenever you hit rank 1 in the Darkmoon Covenant. This is Darkmoon Blade. Miracle granted to those bound by Covenant to Gwendolyn, Lord Gwyn's last born, blah blah blah. The power of the rays of the Dark Moon are manifested in vengeance, which, whatever, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just, whatever, arbitrary. Dark Moon rays are all about vengeance. Okay. And the deeper the animus, the more devastating the attack. I just want to point out the use of the word animus. Animus, you know, it's Latin. It basically means contempt, hostility towards someone. Carl Jung was really fond of the idea of animus. And he believed that animus was, within the female consciousness, it was a male subconsciousness that dominated instincts. And the reverse of that would be the male consciousness holding female subconsciousness, which would be anima. Which, you know, just be the reverse of that. Anima also being a wicked-ass summon in Final Fantasy X that was just a bound-up, chained mother creature of the main villain. I always really liked that thing. Not because I thought it was, you know, oh, that's so fucking cool. Not because of that so much. It's just the idea that it's his mother that's bound and chained. And whenever you summon it, I love the fact that whenever it comes up, you know that it's his mother. You know, later on. And this big chain thing just erupts out of the ground. It's like, ugh! Like, Jesus! I just love that. I always love that about that game. Anyways, the other thing that we got here was from the same Covenant area. Blah, blah, blah. If I can find the damn thing. I decided to just bring everything with me because I got tired of mucking around with it. Darkmoon Talisman. Oh, by the way, you can hit triangle or Y, whatever you're using. And it will cycle through things on the screen over here. Just wanted to make sure I told you guys that. I thought about it. I never use it, but, you know, it's there in case you want it. Anyways. Medium for casting Miracles of the Gods, granted to Dark Moon Blade Knights adherents to the Covenant of the Dark Sun Gwendolyn. This talisman demands dutiful faith from its owner, but has a very high miracle adjustment. Nothing overly important there. I will point out that in regards to the Dark Moon blah 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 that we just got through picking up, which I wonder if I should bother using that. Not this part, not this part. I might as well rest here and tag this while I'm thinking about it. But in regards to that, that is the highest weapon damage buff that you can get in the game, as far as scaling and everything goes. It works best whenever you're actually part of the Covenant. It takes a shitload of time to upgrade it all the way, normally. And I don't think anything's going on with haircut over here. But it takes a long time, but that is the optimal sort of buff that you can get in the game.
Oh, miracles?
And that's all from him. Okay.
Again. The effect.
Okay, thank you. Alright. And there's one more thing I want to make sure that I do over here. And show off that this asshole is sleeping. Big old scroty head. Big scroty head sleeping. Someone pointed out in the comments, actually, it's kind of an interesting thought. Maybe they don't actually have ends. Maybe the reason why that they just keep on going forever is because they are actually growing out of the abyss itself. And the abyss is their body. And he actually suggests... I can't remember whose name. I didn't write it down. I actually wrote down quite a few people this time around. Because I need to get into some other comments. But he also suggested that they may actually be sort of like Hydra beings. And that they all are extensions of the same body. But they all have different minds or something. It's just an interesting thought. I don't know if there's any actual way of confirming that one way or the other, but, you know, it is what it is. Now, I'm going to wake this guy up, but we want to make absolutely sure that we do not place the Lord Vessel just yet, because we want to make sure that we can get our other guy to pop up, because we're going to be going down into New Londo today. But the way that you wake him up is just to try to kill him.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Well and wide awake. Do not treat me like an old withering snake.
I love the fact that he continues snoring as he speaks. Anyways, that's how you wake him up. Hello, buddy.
Heavens, you have done it. You have retrieved the Lord Vessel. After 1,000 years, it is you. It is really you. Forgive me. I really should calm down. Now, let us take that vessel on a journey. I assume that you are ready. Now, be still.
Now, thankfully for me, I have a backup save in case this doesn't go the way that I remember it going. Oh, God! I don't think he's actually... Well, he might be swallowing you. Hell if I know. But you want to make sure that you have a homeward bone in this particular case. If you want to go down here, but you don't actually want to place the Lord Vessel. Because otherwise, your ass is not getting back out. Kind of looks like a dog right there.
This is the Firelink Chamber for the successor of Lord Gwyn. Now, place the Lord Vessel on the altar.
Okay. So he has not given us a lot of explanation as far as what he wants us to do, so much as just go over here and put that there. And just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I wouldn't say that exactly that he is misleading us, so much as he is very focused on what he wants. And we've only heard one side of the story in regards to everything, you know, as far as the Lord Vessel goes and the Age of Fire and whatnot. But I just wanted to point out it has been 1,000 years since Gwyn lit the first flame. So apparently, as far as Lord Souls go, you only last 1,000 years. So as far as how long you would last if you were to set yourself on fire, who knows, who knows. But I also wanted to point out that he is always the sillier of the two serpents that you meet in the game. Actually, I think you meet possibly up to a total of 8, perhaps, if all the other ones are different from the one that you get. That's much, much later, though. They'll be at the very end of the game, possibly. But he's always portrayed as being the sillier of the two, which is you can definitely see that here. It's weird that his little things, his little testicle mustache things, don't go all the way down. Like they don't just droop. So they have a certain amount of rigidity to it. Maybe they're just being filled with so much blood right now that they're just erect because he's so excited at the idea of us putting the Lord Vessel back down. Maybe that's it. Maybe he just an erection. He has an erection. That's what I'm getting at.
What is it? Place the Lord Vessel on the altar. No reason for pause at this point.
No reason for pause at this point. Before I leave here, I'm not going to place it just yet. But I want to make sure that I try to point out as many things as possible. One I found kind of interesting is that this big tree sort of thing, this does seem to be an outgrowth of the, remember in Firelink Shrine there's that giantess tree. And we learned before that those are actually extensions of the arch trees that are down below. And I'm assuming that this is actually an outgrowth of that, although it's possible that maybe it's not. Who knows exactly. I don't need you notes, by the way. Get out of here. No. Do not knock out the audio. Oh my God. But it's possible that's actually an outgrowth. I tossed my notes to the side and it knocked my mouse over to the side and it caused me to go over to the other monitor. But it does sort of, the pattern of the roots and everything does sort of have the same appearance as the Angkor Wat inspired Lost Isleth area that we'll be visiting later on. So there does seem to be some sort of visual allusions to that at the same time. Fires are still lit somehow. Don't ever question that. Don't ever question that. But remember, way back in one of the very first parts, I pointed out that at some point in development, Andre was supposed to push a statue to one side, and that would take you down some steps that would lead down here. And if you're wondering what exactly is over there, it is, that's where that would have gone. You would have been let out down there and been able to walk down either one of these steps, and then there probably would have been steps here that led up on the sides and led up here. And that's all that is. There's really nothing of importance over there. It's just, I think, a door back there that you can't actually open, because that's what the path would have led to. But I did want to point out that there is another Lord Vessel over there. Another sort of Lord Vessel-like type object. I'm not going to place it just yet, so I can't show you a comparison. But it does seem to have that same sort of connotation. I do assume that this is another sort of artifact thing, where at some point this was supposed to mean something, and eventually they just dropped the concept entirely. That perhaps as you defeated each boss in each area of the game, maybe these little things would have lit up or something, and eventually you would have been able to place a final flame that would have opened up the doors proper, and that may have led all the way down into another area. Or maybe, who knows how the hell it worked. I'm just guessing here. Don't take that as confirmed fact or behind-the-scenes stuff. I don't know. But just looking at it, that's what I'm assuming. If we had Miyazaki here, I could whip him to death and he could tell me exactly what it is that we're missing in regards to hidden information. But unfortunately, I don't have Miyazaki here, so I'll just have to save my whip for later on. Well, let's get out of here. Sorry, Frampt. Not today. But that's it for the time being, and I'm going to hope that doesn't fuck up the order of events. Because that is something that people worry about all the time, is whether or not they should talk to Frampt at all, because some people think that if you talk to him at all, if you ever even speak to him, then you will not be able to meet Kath, which I'm 99% certain is not the case. And some people are very fearful if you even go down there, and sort of just talk to him whenever you have the Lord Vessel, and then that will also keep him from triggering. But fret not, even if it takes me starting an entirely different game. I have a backup save, so it's not something I really have to worry about. But even if it comes to that, then we will make absolutely certain that we get Kath to show up. Okay, I don't need to do that. Let's jump off like a fool. There we go. Now, down to New Londo. New Londo Ruins. Spooky. Go back to my favorite hollow in the whole game. I showed him off before. I just want to show him off again. That's a baller-ass hollow. He does not give two fucks. I can imagine the person that was responsible for placing him here. They're just really enjoying putting him there. In regards to this little area over here, you can't actually reach it normally. I might show off a way that you can actually get over here. But that will probably be in the second part of this area. I'm not going to get through this entire area in one go. Shit, that's right. But I will go ahead and point out that I will have to cheat in like I explained this much earlier, but I'm going to have to cheat in the Artorias' ring. That way I can get down to the boss of this area. Because I also wanted to show off Sif's hidden cutscene. And as I explained before, the only way to do that is to go through a very... it's impossible to get Kaith and also at the same time get that hidden cutscene due to a very convoluted series of events that I explained much earlier. And he might have something for us now that I have various other embers. He probably does, but I never speak to this asshole. What the fuck's your name again? I don't even care.
Hey, hang on. Is that a sorcery ember?
Yes.
I've never seen one like that. Not even back in Vinheim. What a brilliant flame. Please, friend, let me have that, I am begging you. I'm a craftsman of Vinheim. I'd go hollow before I pass him a flame like that.
It's not like you have a decision in it either way. All these smiths always seem to get a very sexual thrill out of the idea of using one of these embers. I guess whenever you're stuck inside of a tiny cell with nothing to do other than... What the hell you got in your hand there, buddy? What is that? What the hell is that? Is that a dead rat? You holding a dead rat? You been eating a dead rat? No, actually, it kind of looks like a rag or something. What the hell is he holding? That probably has some sort of lore significance, so it angers me that I can't see that any more than I do now. Force it. Come on. Get in there. Get in there, camera. I'm not gonna do it. Fuck you, camera. What the hell is that? And in the comments below, tell me what that is. Looks like a rag. Like he's just holding a rag. That's really strange. Anyways, let's shove this enchanted ember deep into his butt.
Oh, really? You are...
Oh, I know. Don't tell me twice.
I will forge a Rickett
Oh, yeah,
masterpiece
Rickard.
just for you.
Yeah, I'm sure
A
you will.
weapon to make a legend out of it.
Mm-hmm. Sure you will, buddy. Okay, I don't need anything out of you, actually. You have anything else for me?
Big hand.
Oh, yes.
Of course I've heard of it. Who hasn't in Vinheim? He was a royal member of Dragon School until he turned undead. I hear he was quite the character. Only that was 100 years ago. What interest have you in the old eccentric now?
Okay, more information. Remember the 100-year rule of, oh, maybe time is convoluted down here too, guys. Maybe that's the explanation for everything. Time is convoluted everywhere. And it's time, the time is, I love that. The undead, not the undead, the Crestfallen Merchant said that it has been 100 years since people have started trying to go into Sin's Fortress, right? And we pointed out that Logan somehow got himself captured before all this, and he apparently has made his way here within that 100-year time span or so forth. He says that Logan apparently was not undead 100 years ago. But maybe it's because time was convoluted. Maybe time was convoluted in Sin's Fortress, and that's why, even though he says it's been 100 years, maybe it's actually like 500 years ago. And it's only because time was convoluted that whenever we go there, he says it's 100 years, because you're actually in the past. And whenever we go to the new Londo, time is also convoluted there, and that means we're in the same exact time frame as in Sin's Fortress, and it also doesn't mean anything when he says 100 years. Maybe, or maybe it's fucking bullshit. Maybe.
Sorcery? Don't ask me how it actually works.
Dumbasses, all of them.
We only fiddle and forge until it works itself in. That's how we do it in Vinheim.
Yeah.
We prefer to leave the theorizing to those uppity scholars.
Again, sorcerers in this game are fucking idiots. They have no clue what they were doing. They just pass down the information, and you gotta get the impression that he doesn't think very highly of Logan. The tone of his voice whenever he was actually rattling off all this information about Logan, and what he said just then, uppity scholars. So apparently he did not really have a big opinion of Logan. Maybe, as far as his technical advancements go, maybe. But a lot of the people from Vinheim are just like, just cast the fucking spell. Don't worry. Like, they consider it to be, like, pretentious that you're thinking. Like what I'm doing with this video game right now. Sitting here talking about this shit. A lot of people are like, go kill a thing. I want to see you hit something with the weapon though it dies. People just want that. And that's sort of like all the people in Vinheim. They don't give a shit about the lore. They don't give a shit about the explanations or the reading into things. They just say, just fucking do it. Just kill things with magic because it's cool. And they leave the theorizing to people like Logan.
What is it? There's nothing to talk about. We're both cursed, undead. But what's there really to moan about?
For some reason, that kind of pisses me off. Maybe it's because of what I just got through saying. The idea of who cares? I mean, you're in a fucking cell. You're undead. You have nowhere to go. You've probably been in here for... If you knew about Logan, then you probably have been here for about 100 years, or maybe a little bit under 100 years. So don't talk to me about not being anything to talk about. You should have a raging boner right now from the fact that someone that is sane is actually here to speak to your worthless ass. Fucking idiot.
Come back soon.
Yeah.
Smithing helps soothe my nerves.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Don't let me wither away out of idleness.
Oh, heaven forbid. How'd you even get in here? Did you wedge yourself between the bars? Are you like a fucking cat? Anything your head is big enough to... Well, he's not wearing armor, so it kind of looks like I would be able to get through these bars in real life if I tried hard enough. Which kind of begs the question of what he thinks these bars are even doing exactly. Ah, well, anyways, he's a fucking coward. No time for him. Now that we're, how many, 40 minutes in? 40 minutes into the episode? I think I'm just about ready to start the actual content of the episode. Actually, there was quite a bit of time that I've recorded that, you won't be seeing since I had to make my way back to Firelink. I actually had rested only at Firelink and fought my way all the way to the part that you saw in, from Firelink all the way to, for fuck's sake, Ariamis, the Painted World of Ariamis. And I used a homeward bone, but for some reason it only brought me back to the bridge. Which it may have been because I quit out, or did I... I think I might have done something between that and the save, and that probably screwed it up. Anyways. Here we have the lamenting zombies of New Londo. Lamenting the loss of New Londo itself. You can actually see that hole. I think you can actually see this hole if you... Remember the Moonlight Butterfly? If you go all the way up to the top of that tower, I think you can actually see this hole from that area. And I regret not showing that off. Oh well. Anyways, into New Londo we go. There's a few things that I want to talk about in regards to comments from the previous video. Let's see. I have those on my secondary monitor. I can't write these on the notes since I had to copy-paste a lot of information. The salesman points out that the painted set is in the Painted World of Ariamis. And that kind of indicates that humans had to live there. That doesn't actually necessarily mean that, but good on you for actually noticing that. And if you stay here long enough, here come the ghosties. The power's going to go out tonight for me because they're having to work. And I said on Twitter, it's probably because they're searching for ghosts again. Ghosts are really good for nothing, you know? Did I have that? Yeah, I have that equipped. Ghosts are good for nothing. Yeah, they never have anything to say. It's just, woo, revenge, revenge. And that's all they ever say. Always up to no good. Anyways, did I have anything to say about the... You're gonna come... Yeah, you're gonna... For fuck's sake. Let's see. Arcane Volper also says that in regards to Priscilla being sort of like the Maiden in Black sort of archetype, that maybe early on in development because of that... it would have been a story element that Velka would have wanted to rescue you in order to rescue her daughter. So that may have some credence in regards to the idea that Velka is the mother of Priscilla. Because very early on in development, maybe it was that she was sending you off because she wanted you to rescue her daughter, and that may have factored into the story very early on. Again, just guessing, but yeah, that's something. Good on you, Arcane Volper. Okay, Transient Curse. I've read this off before, but the only way to fight back against ghosts who are curse beings is to become cursed yourself. I will again point out the very convoluted relationship between Nito, things that curse you, and Velka, because Velka and the Goddess of Sin are usually associated with sacrificing humans or blood sacrifices that enabled you to negate curses, and the Basilisks also curse you, and that is seemed to be associated with the Greylands in some respects. Big mess of shit going on here. But I will point out that this is a big, decrepit, nasty-looking hand. And it's just because it seems to be just... like it's a transient curse. That's what it is. That's why it's named this. It's just a curse that you have picked up from someone else's body. And how exactly they got cursed, I don't know. Maybe they collect these off of the chipped-off hands of the undead statues and whatnot. A couple of things I want to point out before I rush in here. And I've already gotten that soul over here, so we don't have to worry about that. Got that in like the very first part, I think. Son Goku asks, or points out, that pyromancy in regards to it being corrupt, he was curious about this. These days, it is handed down. There's no real connection to the life force that the ancient witches seem to have control over. I just wanted to point out that later on, I'll probably have to go more into this. But in the original Japanese version, pyromancy is referred to in a couple of ways. One is jujutsu-shi, or actually jujutsu. And the people that practice it are referred to as jujutsu-shi, which is usually translated as being either shamans or witch doctors. And there's a big convoluted bit of stuff in regards to this that I'll have to go into later, as far as how that relates to Shintoism in Japan, and oh my god, there's so fucking much. But that's something I might bring on German Spy for later on. I think once we get to Isleth, I might be able to get him on if he's not busy. He should be done with the Bloodborne guide by then, I'm assuming. But anyways, there was one last thing I wanted to point out in regards to that, is, let's see, oh, I wrote this down, but I didn't quantify it. They come from Enuma, which is a swamp lake that's in the north of Japan. And, instead of the Great Swamp, in English it's called the Great Swamp, but in the Japanese version, they come from a land called Enuma. And that's a reference to an actual swamp lake that's in the north of Japan. And that's where the sort of connotation of them being sort of rednecky is, because northerners in Japan are, you know, they're the version of rednecks there, or whatever. But it was formed from volcanic eruptions and mud flows, and I just wanted to point that out because of all the nonsense that goes on in regards to that. But it seems to have this connotation that the Great Swamp may have had some relationship to fire and, you know, eruptions, and that's a good juxtaposition of the game lore with actual real-life lore. That maybe that it just has a relationship with the Witches of Isleth. Pretty clever, but means absolutely nothing to anyone outside of Japan, which I've complained about before. Now let's use the Transient Curse and get to killing ghosts. Now these people, these women, they're all women. This is kind of unusual. And some people think that they all carry babies. They don't. Only one of them does. So in regards to the statues that we've been seeing all over the place that have the mother and child motif. I need to go down here. Hold on. They have the mother and child motif. It's not referencing these ladies unless it's referencing that one lady. Yes, I know about this. What do you have for me, Corpse Chan? A couple of Transient Curses. Amazing! Amazing. But we're going to get more of these as we go along, hopefully. You want to make sure that you have quite a few of them, because it's pretty easy to run out quickly if you're taking your sweet time about it. Usually I only have to use one of these whenever I'm running through this area. Usually I do just run through this area. Like, I don't usually dick around too much. And, okay, Transient Curses. They do drop, I think, 2 different kinds of weapons, and it doesn't seem like I'm going to be getting either one of them anytime soon. But I'm going to try to rush through this area as quickly as possible. So that, because that is pretty important in regards to clearing out these ghosts very quickly. And I'm just going to take a few hits in the process of doing this. No, don't you grab me. That's one of the more annoying moves that they have. And I do have the Leo ring equipped right now, so I'm doing counter damage at the same time as this. This is an elevator that will lead us back up. We'll trigger that in a bit once we get down here. But these ghosts are all over the fucking place. They can go through walls, disrupt power lines, and as a result, they can overwhelm you pretty quickly, even though you don't know that they're there. See this little asshole? This is fucking shit. This is fucking shit. You're supposed to go over, oh, there's this thing, I'm plucking it right out of his booty hole. And then this ghost just gets you right in the wall. I'm gonna get you right in the wall. Oh, really? You can sort of clip through if you just... There we go, okay. You can't be too close to it or you hit the wall too soon and it won't clip all the way through. Anyways. Parrying dagger. May as well look at this. It's not even really that important. Wait, is it? I can't even remember if it's... It should be in the dagger section. I think... Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember if it was lumped in with the shields or not. Parrying dagger. This dagger is useful after parrying and is normally equipped in the left hand. Yeah, I mean, a favorite of the Knights of Kareem, who are famous for fighting without a shield. Remember Kareem? Remember Lautrec is from Kareem. He also, actually, was he? Lautrec of... I don't think he's from Astoria. No, he's from Kareem. He fought with 2 Shotels. But, we never... I don't think we actually ever see anyone using a parrying dagger that I can remember. Does she? No, no, she uses a... I don't think she uses a... Does she? No. I think... maybe she does. Maybe the Dark Moon Goddess uses a parrying dagger. I can't remember. Anyway, that's really not important. The point being, it's a parrying dagger. In real life, whenever people use... I'm going to complain about this now. But in real life, I know people love the idea of dual-wielding swords and stuff in video games, but it's fucking stupid. That's not a real thing, kids. It's really dumb. don't... If you ever get into a sword fight in real life, don't try to use two weapons. That's not going to help you any. Just like you don't see, like, military officers using two guns at the same time for double the firepower. Because it's fucking stupid. You can't aim with two weapons. Well, if you're really good enough, you can... No! You can't aim with two weapons. Stop it. Stop. But the same sort of idea follows in regards to melee weapons in real life. People did dual wield, sort of, but usually it was... And really, you're going to do it through the fucking ground. But usually people did that, either in Asia it was a bit more popular because Asians tend to do stupid shit. But usually it was in the context of them doing something that was ceremonial. Or it wasn't really something that was meant for combat, it was just something that they did because that was just part of their practice. But anyways, the only time that you're actually going to use a parrying dagger in real life or an offhand sword or anything like that is whenever you don't have access to a shield, because shields break easy and they're kind of expensive to replace. Well, I guess she's still going to fuck right off. But this is usually where the transient curses wear off, so usually this is the place where I stop. And this is going to be the part where you need to be extremely careful. Pew! Get your ass back here. Oh, come on. No, you're not gonna... you're gonna come over here too? They will start coming through the walls here on my side in a second. And you need to be very careful. You two? Wow, where are you guys coming from? I know you're coming from there, but... Oh well. Anyways, you want to be absolutely careful right here. And since they have such long fucking... Oh, I ran out of curses. No wonder. But this is where you usually run out. And since you're already up here... Oh, alright, for God's sake. I can't have a fucking good time without you assholes mucking things up. Anyways, one thing, you want to be careful right here. I was talking about something earlier, but I can't remember what it was. I think it was regarding the ghost or something. I can't remember what the hell I was talking about. Anyways. Let's see. There's a couple other things in my notes as you kind of had to stand here and attract the ghosties. And that'll eventually get them to leave their hidey holes inside of this area here. This building's extremely dangerous because it is swarming with these fucking ghosts. All over the goddamn place. I'm guessing they're just supposed to be ghosts of the people that were lost in New Londo. Although that doesn't really make any sense. People don't really leave ghosts in this game anywhere except for New Londo, which is really strange. I imagine this is just one of those things where they're like, well, we want ghosts. We just want them. And they don't really think about it too hard. And in here is the Balsti ghost. This is the one that does have the child. You can see her holding it. But I don't think too much of babies. So we're just going to quickly get rid of her. And you can see this turns into a big clusterfuck very, very quickly. Let's go two-handed for a second. God, they're so fucking spammy, too. Let's use a little whirly bird here. That makes no sense at all. I'm not taking much damage from these girls. I guess it's because they are sort of leveled in such a way that you are able to visit here very early in the game. This is an optional area that you can go through. Like the catacombs, you don't necessarily have to go to the Berg or anything like that. I love how open Dark Souls is. I've been playing, I played through Ocarina of Time on the 3DS lately, and I've also been playing through Majora's. And one of the first things that I notice about those games is how they really, really want you to go to specific temples first. Like, even though you can technically go to many different ones, there are points in which that you just can't do anything until you get a bow or something, and you can't get that until you go to another specific temple. So you end up sort of partially clearing a lot of areas and accomplishing absolutely nothing. Really irritates me about those Zelda games. Anyways, I really appreciate in regards to the Souls games that you're able to sort of go wherever the hell you want to. And what the hell was I doing? Was I about to go up here? No, I need to... What the hell? Huh. Health bar just magically appeared and then vanished. It's probably from whenever it was... Sometimes the game will spawn in enemies and they will just sort of... kind of glitch out, and the game is trying to register the health and kind of accidentally displays them at the same time. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware that this goes in a circle and then leads you right back down. And this is the place where you can proceed and go on. Usually, actually, I don't even bother doing all this. Like, usually what I'll do is I will do a running jump. And you have to time this perfectly and jump from here down there and just skip all this entirely. Because going inside here is kind of... It's not suicide, but it's a pain in the ass, as you've seen. Okay. Let's see. There's quite a few more things to go in my notes. But let's actually do... Okay, I don't need any just yet. Let's go ahead and finish off this ghost before I go on any further. Appear, ghosty! Appear! What's that thing from Aqua Teen? Chicken. Something about chicken. Arise, chicken, arise. That's what it is, yes. Arise, chicken, arise. Cursebite Ring. Hello, Cursebite Ring. Let's take a look at you before I proceed any further. Not overly important, but, you know, in regards to his curses and everything else, this is going to be a little bit more interesting. One of the more infamous bite rings commissioned by Sir Astor of Kareem. So, again, related to Kareem. As I've said, all the sort of curse items and things seem to be related to Kareem, and Kareem seems to be related to Velka and blood sacrifices, human sacrifices, and whatnot. Despite the dreadful rumors surrounding its creation, this ring is an unmistakable asset in its ability to help prevent curses. Which we don't actually need. To be able to... I don't know, this did not really work out the way that they planned. But the transient curses kind of nullify this whole thing. But the other way that you can kill these guys, if you don't have transient curses, if you can't buy them, you can buy more of these at the undead merchant lady that's in the sewers, by the way. But if you don't have them, you can go into the depths, curse yourself with basilisks, which will do a fuck ton of shit to your health. And that will allow you to damage them without having to worry about using the transient curses at all. Which is not really a good system. No one does that, because you just lose too much. Whereas the transient curse, you just have to use one every, like, 5 minutes, whatever it is, and then you're done. Not a great system. Whenever the game first launched, you could actually get successively cursed over and over again. Like, not just once, but many, many times over. And that would result in quite a bit of problems for people, and that was one of the first things they patched out. Because they didn't expect people to just keep getting cursed over and over again. And I think that was actually... It may have been like a not even part of the, like, 0.1 sort of patch. It may have been a soft patch. I can't quite remember. Of course, I wasn't around, so whatever. Anyways, let me get one question out before I talk to Ingward here. And I'll stay away from him, that way I don't accidentally hit him. He's probably wondering what the hell I'm doing. What the fuck? A human? And he's just gonna go stare off into nothing for a while? He must be really fixated on that soul over there. Let's see. I've already gone over that. The Spiral Darkness... Oh, okay, I see what I wrote here. The Spiral suggests that darkness... What the hell did I write here? For fuck's sake, past me. Darkness is equal to stagnation. Does that mean that there's no change? I wanted to point out that darkness does not necessarily equate to things never changing, because usually in regards to this game, the color gray is usually used to reference things never changing. Because people were pointing out that the light and dark soul and things are related to, you know, Buddhism, Asian, you know, I know. Light is usually related to want and desire, which is where the nonsense in Dark Souls 2 comes from. And dark is usually related to peace and serenity. So some people were equating that to mean that the Dark Soul is related to things just never happening. But that's not the case, because that's what gray is for in this game. So dark is related to something else. I just wanted to point that out before I go into the big meaty one that I need to go over here in a bit. But first, what the hell are you using, Ingrid? Is that what kind of knife is that? Huh. You can't get that anywhere else in the game. And wait. You're also using... That looks a great deal like the spears that we found in the Painted World of Ariamis, because of that sort of a ringed pattern as far as the grip goes. Doesn't look exactly like them, but it looks very similar. That's unusual. Probably actually doesn't mean anything, but that is neat.
Well, this is a surprise. I get few visitors, save for ghosts.
Ho!
The Lord Vessel. Very impressive. I know exactly what your intentions are. You seek the four kings whom I guard over.
Yeah.
This is the key to the seal.
And it just gives it. We don't even ask for it. We didn't even actually know about the old ghosties until now, but he just gives it to us. So he seems to want these things dispelled as much as we do. It is unusual that he knows about the Lord Vessel. This does seem to imply that he has had some communications with France. And we will learn a bit more from his dialogue later on that is the case. He does seem to... He is on the side of... the side of light, you know, as far as... he believes in rekindling the first flame. And in regards to... I need to look at that. I need to look at this. Okay, and he hasn't get over there. Okay, sorry, I just need to think for a second. I will point out that even it is pretty obvious that he's a very old man. He sounds like an old man. What's going on under your mask here? It's kind of fucked up. There's nothing under there because there's just nothing rendered under there. It's really strange. But I wanted to point out that I've been pointing out that all the NPCs that have like faces under their masks, whenever you take them off, they look just like them. Ingward doesn't really look like an old man. He's kind of dashing in a way, kind of handsome. So they didn't quite nail it in regards to him, but I mean, come on. You're not even supposed to see him. So, you know, nothing to really worry about there. But yeah, he knows about the Lord Vessel, and he's giving us a key, and he wants us to go down and kill the four kings. So this is the first time we've ever heard of the four kings.
The four kings slumber in the deepest chamber of the ruins. Use this key to break the seal and open the floodgates. Oh, and do not forget, the dark wraiths reside in a dark void called the Abyss. But the Abyss is no place for ordinary mortals. Although, long ago, the knight Artorias traversed the Abyss. If you can find him and learn from him, the Abyss may prove surmountable.
So I guess that's supposed to be your hint as far as whenever you get down there, you're just going to land in the Abyss and the game's going to inform you you have been taken by the Abyss. And you'll wonder, well, how the hell am I supposed to defeat these guys? And you're supposed to learn this from Ingward that supposedly this Artorias person is someone that we could look to in regards to how to traverse the Abyss. And remember whenever we picked up the... Oh, which one was it? Wolf Ring. Whenever we picked up the Wolf Ring, one of the special rings granted to the four knights of the Gwyn belongs to Artorias the Abyss Walker. Whenever we picked this up, we found this very close to the entrance to Darkroot Garden. And I guess this is it's supposed to be a really, really... like, how the... Really, this was their hint in regards to how you're supposed to do this? You're supposed to find this ring, read the description, remember it, come to New Londo, and then go, ah, yes, I remember that from that obscure description of a ring that I just so happened to find. And you're supposed to put two and two together and go, oh, maybe he's in the Darkroot Garden, and then go back? I don't think so. That's really shitty. Anyways, it may have been that the corpse that this was on at some point was supposed to, intended to be implied to be Artorias. And maybe that he had died and he was just looking out and watching for people, you know, or something. Who knows? But obviously that was done away with in the DLC. So what it originally was supposed to infer, I don't know. But you do find it near Darkroot Garden. So I guess that is supposed to be the link that it's going for there. What else did he say that I just glossed over? Probably nothing important, What else you got to say, buddy?
Hello there. What is it? The key to the seal is now in your hands. I will help you in any way possible.
Okay, now he can have your curse broken, which we don't really need anymore. I think we might be out of ghosties. So I'm just going to do some item collecting, and we don't have to worry about them anymore, I think. But he does sell some other things. He sells transit curses, of course. And I may as well just go ahead and pick this up. Let's look at his description first so I don't have to go in. Sorcerer of the Red Road Remedition. And then they call them Remeditions here. Kind of unusual. They referred to him as Banishment Sorcerers before. Now he's a Remedition. Ingward. Oh, see, I collected too much air from all this fucking talking. It's not because I've been eating, it's just because I talk so much, and whenever you inhale, you have to burp. I did it away from the microphone this time. Guardian of the Seal in New Londo. Sacrifice humanity to undo curse. Abhorrent curses eat away at the core of one's very existence, and cleansing oneself of curses is no easy task indeed. So, curses eat away at the core of one's very existence. And I've already gone over what I think curses are in regards to me being very wordy and long-winded about it, so I'm not going to go into that again. But just want to make sure that I showed off this. And I remember what exactly it is that he also said that I wanted to talk about. But he referred to those down there, those big double doors, as being the floodgates. Now, it is very doubtful that this... Well, I guess that is possible. Because this is underground. This whole area is underground. Why it is underground, who can say? Maybe it was since New Londo itself... I mean, it's called New Londo. Like Anno Londo, New Londo. So this was the place to be if you were a human being, if you were not serving in Anno Londo. The smith, the skeleton smith, down in the catacombs, whenever you give him the fire ember, tells you that it came from New Londo. And also we learned that a lot of magic came from New Londo as well. So this was a place of learning, it was a path, it was an area where people developed a lot of shit. Basically what I'm getting at is that this was, at some point, sort of the Vinheim of its day. The Thurland of its day. This was the place to be. This was, ancient France, or whatever you want to say. You know, the place where all culture sort of intersected with one another. And it was built underground. So there's two ways of looking at it. Maybe they built it underground just because, to protect it or something. Or maybe it was one of the very first cities that human beings built whenever people were sort of tunneling their way up to the very tip-top of the clouds in this Asgardian world that we live in. And they just so happened to establish themselves, humanity just so happened to establish themselves after leaving, I guess, the sort of swampy Blighttown area, if we're assuming that's where people came from, the gods and humans emerged from. Then maybe this is where they established themselves. And if they established themselves here, maybe they noticed that, hey, this place leaks all the time, and maybe that's the reason why they created the floodgates there. But or maybe it just so happens that they're just normal gates, and he's just referring them as floodgates because now the place has been flooded. Now, who the fuck knows? But I wanted to point out that outside of this is the Valley of Drakes, and if you look up, you won't see a lake. So I really want to show off where you can see this hole. I guess that's something I'll worry about in the second part. But for the time being, let's get going. Let's get going. That's another thing I'll have to worry about in the future. But we're done with Ingvar for a while. Let's see if I can roll down this without... No, that's right. That's only a 60 frames per second bug. It's been a while since the... Every single time that I slide down a ladder, I have that same exact fear. Every single time. The easiest way to sort of get through this area, I guess, that is not quite as... Like, if you can make this jump, just go ahead and jump it, but... I have plenty of times in the past, like, clipped, like, this thing gone flying out, like, into the water there. There's been plenty of times in which I didn't jump quite soon enough. And, of course, if you're running at 60 frames per second, it's going to be even more dangerous because you won't jump quite in time. So probably the easiest and quickest way to go about it, the safest, sort of, relatively, is to just run down the steps and emerge down here. If you want to be safe about it, a loser... I don't think anything is important here. This must... What the hell was this? I can't remember. Something that's not important, obviously, whatever the hell it is. I wonder what I have 99 of that I'm... I ran out of daggers because I went out of my way to make sure that I threw a whole bunch of the fucking things whenever I was farming. Because I got tired of having 99 of them. What the hell do I have that I'm running out of? Huh. What the hell is that? Oh, it must be... Oh, okay, it must be one of the shards or something. It's an upgrade material, I bet. Now, what exactly it is, I can't remember. Wait. It's probably those green Titanite shards. Because those are the things that I were getting from those things whenever I was... From these slimes whenever I was farming the shit out of Blighttown. That's what those are, I remember now. Yes, I'm a genius! Let's go up here and pick up these last two little items. And then I think I'll cut this part off once I drain out the water from New Londo. But there's one last thing that I wanted to discuss, and it relates to the big long-winded thing that I went through last time in the previous part. But Omir44 gave a pretty good analysis of several things in the game. Make sure I make that jump correctly. But he made this comment in his longer comment field. But why does the increasing power of the Dark Soul cause everyone to go back towards their pygmy state? Pygmies are the creatures that don't have souls, so it's as if anyone that has a fragment of the Dark Soul starts to lose that fragment until there's nothing left. And he found that to be another rare ring of sacrifice, by the way, another Kareem item. And there's nothing over here that's special. If you go up here without killing all those ghosts, you'll get a whole big butt full of their weird scythe hands. By the way, in regards to what exactly that was down there, these sort of bigger ghosts that had a child, I don't know. But I do like the fact that because we don't know, and it does seem to be very provocative, I do love the fact that it is provocative. That like, whenever you see it, you see her holding this child, and I might have to find a better image of that or something. That, it leads to a lot of questions that we just can't answer. It doesn't make any sense in regards to why she is holding the child and whatnot. And that's where people get the relationship between those and the mother and child statues that we have been finding. Yeah. Sometimes you can make that jump, sometimes it does that. Oh, that's right. I need the... No, we'll do that after the water drains, that's right. Okay, but anyways. In regards to this, what he said... I wanted to point out that if the death soul is related to death... the deaf soul. Have you come here to harvest my hearing? What? I love that comic. What's that? Contraption to smoke. Oh yeah. What the hell am I doing? I'm losing myself in my own thoughts. But the dead soul is related to death, and the life soul is related to life, and the dark soul is related to undeath. Does that mean that the life soul is related to unlife? And that sounds kind of silly, but I'll just go ahead and read what I wrote here. I hate reading things off my second monitor because I have to lean over my own microphone. But that question is what's supposed to make you think about what Miyazaki is trying to say about the nature of living and dying in this game. Or just in general. The fire gave us the ability to live, to die, to be bright, or to be dark, if we're using metaphors in regards to the light soul and dark soul. But the life and death souls seem to be related only to making us mortal. And the light and dark souls, what do they do? That's the question that we're supposed to ask in regards to this game. Like, it's all leading up to that. We're not necessarily supposed to be trying to figure out how to cure the undead curse. Or the question is exactly what the undead curse is in the first place. And I'll talk about this in a second. But the Dark Soul is not just making us pygmies. What it's doing is it makes us live forever in undeath. In that we just aren't able to hold on to the fire that makes us human in the first place. We will keep living forever, whereas the Light Soul seems to make us be able to die. But the Light Soul sort of gives us this brilliance in life, this glory, at the cost of all of it fading away. Whereas the Dark Soul seems to do something similar in that it keeps us from dying, but it sort of makes... I'll just read what I wrote here. But both approaches to life ultimately result in the same outcome. With light, we shine brilliantly and fade, and with dark, we persist forever until we end up stumbling. So those are two sort of philosophies in regards to how you live your life. And again, those are sort of... They're not directly related. This is the reason why I was sort of flicking off the idea of it being just sort of Buddhism and Shintoism and stuff like that. I won't go too much into it, but in regards to Japan and things like that, like Shintoism especially, there's a lot of things in Japan that they do, like the people that pray at shrines and things, a lot of the times they don't even think that they're praying to anything. It's just something that they do. It's a ritual to them. And they don't... And I don't want to undermine too much of their own beliefs, but they oftentimes... It's not about what they believe, it's just a cultural practice to them. So whenever you start talking about things like Buddhism and the beliefs as far as light and dark and everything goes, obviously that is an influence, but it's not a direct transposition of those beliefs into the game, which is why I've been sort of avoiding it in many ways. But the actual explanation for this as we get a composite bow. Nothing really special about that. But in regards to this, the point of the game is not to answer the question of what the undead curse is necessarily, as it is to provoke you into thinking and trying to figure out exactly what he's trying to say in regards to life, death, light, and dark. Because why are there not 2 souls? Why is it not just life and death? Why did he choose to make it 4? Why is it life, death, light, and dark, whenever especially the dark soul and the light soul seem to do the same thing? Like, you can easily equate the light soul to being the life soul, light and life, because they both seem to lead to, life. And the dark soul and the death soul seem to almost in some ways be the same thing. So what is the distinction between those two things? And the process of you sitting down and trying to think about it is the more important thing, rather than actually answering that question. But anyways, in regards to Omir 44's question of why the increasing power of the dark soul causes everyone to go back to their pygmy state, again, as I said, it's not that it's causing us to become pygmies. It's that it's preventing the light soul from working in the first place. And the light soul, this sort of unlife soul, exists for the sake of making us brilliant and emboldened and full of glory and legends and just all those concepts like that. But it all ends and it all fades. That's the ongoing theme of the light soul and the age of fire and the gods and whatnot. And whenever that fades, what are you left with? You're left with not a pygmy, but you're left with yourself that is immortal. Like, as long as I don't die, I will live forever. In Dark Souls 2, they kind of mess this up in some regards. Like, you seem to just start to lose yourself over time. Like, it just naturally just goes away. Which I think kind of defeats the purpose of the thematics of this game. Which is one of the reasons why I think they really don't grasp what Miyazaki was trying to get at in the first place. Not that I think this is some big, deep game or anything like that. But it is sort of a basic concept that they didn't really seem to understand. So the idea that they are losing it over time doesn't really make any sense in regards to this game. So as long as I am able to survive, I will continue to live, because that's what the Dark Soul is doing for me. It gives me undeath. So that's the answer to that question. Is that it's not that the Dark Soul is making us into pygmies, it's that it's preventing us from dying. And as a result, because we're being prevented from dying, we're just losing ourselves in the process. It's just an after effect. That's what the undead curse is, as far as my interpretation of it goes. Anyway, so I wanted to come out here and show this briefly. Fucking assholes. I need to go down and farm a few more of you guys. I've almost got the Dragon Tooth all the way upgraded, which means that I will allow myself to upgrade all the other dragon things. I had enough to completely upgrade the I won't go into all that just yet. But I will end things here. I just wanted to make sure I pointed out that this is the exterior. This is the Valley of Drakes that we're looking at. And we do get a slightly better perspective of what exactly this is. But this kind of leads... This is not... Up above is not quite Firelink. And there's some 3D model things that I want to point out. But I wanted to point out that this area, sort of the place I'm looking at right here later on, and I'll bring this up later once we get down into the Tomb of the Giants. But as far as the model collision goes, the area that I'm looking at is in the exact same spot as where you will see the arch trees whenever we get down into the very later parts of the Tomb of Giants. And I just wanted to make sure that I pointed that out right now. So as far as the way that Dark Souls is really good about where all of its locations are placed in regards to one another, but it's not perfect. And that's probably the most egregious area of the game in which nothing seems to make any sense anymore. It's down in the Tomb of the Giants in relation to the Valley of Drakes. And what position Firelink is supposed to be at this point, I really am not sure exactly. But this is a construction that led all the way up, and it is sort of reminiscent of Londo. So maybe it was that at some point, humanity and the gods both together came up, constructed sort of this beginnings, like in Blighttown, perhaps, and then began work on New Londo while the gods went up further. Or maybe not, who knows. But I just wanted to point out that this does look very much so like the elevator that leads all the way up to the City of the Gods. But other than that, it's all very dilapidated. Very shitty. And I guess that's all to say about that. And we'll go down here, unflood New Londo, and then the next part will be me having many adventures, filling Dark Race butts full of all sorts of swords and probably some other things. I keep doing that. But you have to go out here, and it's so funny that you can't do this until you get the key from Ingward. And the only way to get the key from Ingward is to either murder him, and sometimes, especially I think in regards to New Game Plus, there's a bug in which sometimes he won't drop the key, and that will ruin that playthrough. Or you can show him the Lord Vessel, and he's like, oh, Lord Vessel, okay, here's the key, and he throws it in the Lord Vessel. How exactly you're lugging this Lord Vessel around, I have no idea. Like, whenever you place it, it is fucking huge. So maybe you're just lugging it around everywhere that you go. Who knows? But I do need to look at that key while I'm thinking about it. I'm absolutely sure that I look at that. And I think I've already looked at the Lord Vessel. Lords was sorting on chosen to get a different skill. To open the final door, place the vessel in the Firelink Altar. Okay, there's nothing important there either way. Let's see. Key to the seal. Here we go. Key to the seal. Key to the floodgates of New Londo, which seal away the 4 kings who fell to dark. And I will point out that before the 4 kings existed originally, there was a sort of Gwyn-like character that you fought that was just... I forget what his name was. I'll put that in the subtitles and maybe link an image of him as well. But he originally was modeled, and you were supposed to fight him up where Ingward was. But I guess they decided that was too much like Gwyn. Like, they actually had the good sense to say, no, we don't need a multiple big man with weapon enemies in this game, unlike Dark Souls 2 did. And they only tried to have one. There's a few other guys that are sort of... You can argue, oh, the Iron Golems. I know all the fucking arguments. I've been around long enough. But Gwyn is sort of the only guy that's sort of like you in respects. And that is a very obvious design decision on their part. But that's the reason why they got rid of him, and they decided to instead go with this idea of the 4 kings. But the 4 kings were the 4 original kings of New Londo, who ended up giving in to Kaith, decided they liked the idea of absorbing other people's humanity, and that's sort of the culture that arose from New Londo and why it was flooded by Ingward and his pals, to make way for New Londo Splash. The Sealers flooded New Londo to banish the Dark Race and the 4 kings. The agonizing decision was made with the realization that countless lives and the robust culture of the city would be lost. The victims now roam the ruins as ghosts. So it does straight out tell us that the victims of New Londo are in fact the ghosts. So that's where they came from, even though that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And maybe have something to do with the fact that they were members of the... Actually, here's an idea. Now that also doesn't really make any sense. God damn it. But there's a lot of corpses down here. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that their corpses are trapped, and that's the reason why they became ghosts. It's just bullshit. That's what I'm talking up to being. Because why would an undead become a ghost? Maybe it was that they were not undead, but because they were parts of the Dark Wraith Covenant, that they absorbed so much humanity that whenever they died, they had the same effect of undeath that the Dark Soul has, and that caused them to become ghosts? Oh my god, that is my best guess. Anyways, let's deflood the fuck out of this area. Wow. New Londo Splash opens today! Shablamzos, and there we have it. Now we have it. First thing we see is a message over there. Now we have the area completely unflooded, and we can use the elevator to go down here. And if you want to, you can use this as a shortcut, I guess. Like, you can go to the bonfire over there and rush past these drakes. But, I mean, really, why would you want to? There's an easier way of making your way from the Firelink Shrine bonfire that we'll worry about later. I will point out, however, I de-equip my bird watchers. Come on, bird watchers. Actually, let's go ahead and just keep it there. No. Oh, for fuck's sake, I can't make up my mind. Binoculars. Just wanted to point out mother and child statue down here as well. So that did exist prior to the fall of New Londo. One last thing to consider. And that's it for the time being. when I meet you next time, I might have to do some more cleanup like I did this episode. But, for the time being, I will leave it at that, and we will kill all the Dark Race, try to get to Kath, and if that doesn't work out the way that I think, and I'll just jump over to another save file or something, then, after that, leave your comments below what exactly you want me to go to next. Because after I get through with Kath, we're going to have a big, long episode in regards to him. And after that, after we place the Lord Vessel, then we will worry about where exactly we need to go. So in the comments below, be sure to let me know where exactly you would like me to go next. It could be the Duke's Archives, it could be Los Isolith, or it could be the Tomb of the Giants. Your call, guys. But that's it for now. I would like to thank you guys, by the way, for participating in the chat and having in-depth discussion and whatnot. I really appreciate that. I will see you guys next time.